Big thanks go out to Taiwa for supporting today's video via Patreon. Bello vehicles versus Yasova, Felisa and Vren. I have a couple of Vren lists built, but didn't know if I should bother actually playing it or not because I'm not sure how popular it'll be. No vehicles available to us in the vehicle list, but plenty of mana. And if I know Magic Online, we shouldn't put away a hand that's got mana in it, but there's every chance that we get flooded here. Ashnod's Transmigrant for the Orzhov player. Search for Tomorrow's been suspended for the Teamer player. Yeah, a Teamer deck. Do draw into a vehicle off the top in Smuggler's Buggy, so we're going to curve out quite nicely here. Grab the Surveil land. And manage to surveil a land into the bin, so that kind of buys us a turn with regards to our draws, gets us a turn ahead. Draw into a land anyway, but it at least is removal. Arcbound Ravager may well be worth getting rid of if it's part of some kind of combo. Let's just play the Forest and play. And going for cracking the Sakura Tribe Elder. Aethersworn Canonist, going to keep us from likely casting more than one spell in a turn. And an Ozolith as well, makes our Dockside Extortionist better. The Search for Tomorrow has its last counter removed, so we'll be able to put a basic land onto the battlefield here. And drawing into a Beast Within on our turn, so we can either go for Bello here. I think we get Haste. Yeah, we get Haste on the Smuggler's Buggy. But maybe the Hideaway card is going to dictate what we do next turn. Although to take advantage of it, we probably want to get our commander down anyway. Let's just make maximum use of our mana. It might be that we can go for our commander into the Swiftfoot Boots next turn, so we'll get down the vehicle here. Could draw into Ancient Tomb, the Sol Ring, Mana Crypt, something like that, in order to do both the equipment and our commander. Anyway, a Liliana's Triumph is cast there. Each opponent sacks a creature, and each opponent discards a card if you control a Liliana, so obviously no creature for us to sacrifice there. The plus counters from the Arcbound Ravager are placed onto the Aethersworn Canonist, or it could be placed onto the Ozolith. I'm not sure if... surely replacement effects come into play here. Won't get plus counters on the creature and the Ozolith, I wouldn't have thought. Oh, they do get both, alright, so a plus counter from the creature that died on the Ozolith and one on the Canonist as well. And then let's see what Hideaway card we get once this enters. Glad that we didn't play the commander now, because obviously would have lost it straight away to the Triumph. Yeah, I like having the Mithril Coat available to us, so we get down Bello next turn, and Swiftfoot Boots isn't quite as important, assuming that there's not a lot of Edict effects with Vren, which there probably is actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because that's how you typically play Vren if you haven't gone for Rat Tribal. So do we go for a vehicle instead? I'm not particularly liking either of those vehicles, so I'll just go for the Mithril Coat. Yeah, with this you either go for Rat Colony, Relentless Rats, or you go for Edict effects and Spot Removal Tribal, like a real Spellslinger control build that wants to destroy things, because obviously the more creatures you destroy, the more Relentless Rats you get from this commander. Anyway, going for during the upkeep, curiously, and Anticipate, so we're assuming that he didn't have a land in hand there, but managed to play a bounce land, maybe off the Anticipate. Felisa, Fang of Silver Quill into play is the first commander. Noteworthy that there is a Phyrexian Tower here as well. And the Ozolith is being pointed at the Aethersworn Canonist. So the Edict effects we assume Vren has might actually help Felisa in a weird way. Use those as a sack outlet. Anyway, the 4-4 comes in at us. Two commanders in a row with Yasova Dragonclaw. And we know we're getting ours down next turn, so the question is, does Vren go for the board wipe or not? Okay, Cultivate. Yeah, we can't go for Cultivate and our commander. We definitely want to get this down here and hope that we don't see some kind of board wipe, like I said. The Ashnod's Transmigrant being sacrificed to put a plus counter on the commander in order to give it 4 power. We weren't looking to swing in over there anyway. Going in at the Dimir player just to guarantee that we get through. So that does get a debuff. It goes down to a 4-4. Okay. And then this player scoops because it's Magic Online and that's just what players do. So go through to attacks to the left. And then we get to draw a card with our commander. And we get the Hideaway card here. So I have to click it, cast it, And when Mithril Coat enters, it does equip itself to a legendary creature. So now have Indestructible on there. And draw ourselves into a Wooded Foothills. I think we've got another tap land in the deck. Or actually, is it the one that cares about basics? So we'll just go for the Stomping Ground in tapped instead. Although could shock down for the Swiftfoot Boots now that I'm thinking about it. So losing 2 life I didn't necessarily need to lose, but there we are. And passing over to the Dimir player as well, I have to make sure to ban this other guy. Every single game we have to ban someone. Alright, it is 4 commanders in a row, so there are some free pieces of removal that you can run in Dimir, but not too likely that our opponent's going to have those in hand. Oh good, a food chain deck, so exile a creature you control in order to add X mana of any one colour, where X is 1 plus the mana value of the creature, and you can only use that to cast creature spells. So Yasova taking control of the Bello and is going to be able to sacrifice it, so we are going to have to make use of the Swiftfoot Boots, I think. Both of those swinging in towards us. So sacrifices my commander in order to make 4 mana, and then doesn't make use of the mana. So the Vren is going to... doesn't care if the creature was destroyed or not, it just cares if things were put into exile. So they are going to get a Relentless Rat token here. Haven't seen the artwork on these tokens yet. That's awesome. Yeah, I really like that artwork. Right, let's see what we draw into here. Alright, a Fanatic of Ronas. Not as good when we don't have the vehicles in play. It's a shame that the dockside isn't as good anymore now that the Orzhov player has bounced. I think we just go for our commander again with Swiftfoot Boots onto it this time. We're suffering to the Edict effects over here again, unfortunately. Do we just ramp here and play out the Fanatic of Ronas? And then we've got an exponential amount of mana next turn. I think that's okay. Play around the Edict effects that I'm sure my opponent has. Alright, so next turn it's 5 mana for the commander. And then, yeah, unfortunately we'll have to tap down the Fanatic of Ronas in order to get down the Smuggler's Buggy. And as we expected, there are plenty of Edict effects, so we would have lost our commander there anyway. See if the Yasova is going to start giving more respect to the Dimir player. But we do lose our Mana Dork. Glad to see Vren doing some work though, because I wasn't sure if it would be able to. I did ask for a power level 6 game here, so I assumed that it was going to be more creature based, which is very good for Vren. Anyway, sacrificing one of the tokens to a Diabolic Intent in order to tutor. And if Vren continues to annoy us here, it may well have to be a Beast Within onto the Aqueduct. Really hamper his mana. 2 creatures put into exile this turn, so a couple of Relentless Rats. Conquering Manticore is going to make it difficult. We're going to really struggle in creature-based decks in this game. Gain control of a creature and untap the creature, it gains haste, so taking the Vren and removing it from play, no. Okay, for some reason taking the Rat token, oh of course it has Ward 2 this, doesn't it, so more difficult to take control of. 1-1 swings at us, we're down to 26 already. Might be that Dockside Extortionist is a means of protection against Edict effects, might have to get that down anyway. Sacrificing the token in order to gain 1 mana. And then Steam Vents comes down, so not going to do anything else this turn because that comes in tapped. So ends up giving the... he did sacrifice that token, which just replaces it again with Vren's ability, so yeah, it's the end result, it doesn't really matter, same end result. Alright, Chimil of the Inner Sun is something that we can... oh my god. They really need to do something about this. I've been accepted into the creators program on Magic Online. Daybreak Games runs Magic Online, and kind of think to myself, oh, should I be saying things like this against Magic Online now that I'm not sponsored but in the creator program? And I mean, come on, the stuff like this needs to be sorted out, doesn't it? Really, I'm not going to not say it. It's ridiculous that people aren't punished for this type of thing. I can't do anything with Vren, GG. Like, well, you can, you just need to carry on playing for long enough. So, let's go into the blocks and make sure that we remember to block this guy, I don't want to forget. Alright, and what to do here? Let's go Wooded Foothills in for a duel. Our opponents were kind enough to knock down our life total before turning it into a 1v1. So if we go down to 6, And then we can play Dockside Extortionist just for the sake of having another creature in play. I don't really see the point in that. Or it can be the Smuggler's Buggy back into play. Then we've got 4 mana left. Beast Within onto the land. Yeah, we could do that. There's every chance that our opponent bounces to land destruction. Alright, well we cleared some lands off the top and some extra mana here. Has to be the Goliath truck that we do the hideaway on. And then we're taking more damage next turn if we go Beast Within on this turn because they won't have Summoning Sickness, but I think it's best to do it here because they might have counter magic when they untap. So they're down to 3 mana on their next turn, but it might be that we're after a board wipe anyway. Well, they play a land and a Sol Ring, so they're not in as bad a position as they would have been. Unfortunately, can't afford the Beseju here, but only takes them down 1 land if we go after the Sol Ring anyway. So 3, 6, 9, 12 damage is half of our life total. Yeah, so I'm assuming that they drew into the Sol Ring there. That's some good luck for our opponent and not something that we ever could have played around really. It was just as likely for us that they would have just been stuck on 3 mana. And it might be that they just counter whatever we do here. And we're going to be too slow to do anything about it. Let's try the Chimil. And now our spells can't be countered, even if they have counter magic. I'll play Beseju as a land because I want to be able to equip the Dockside Extortionist with a Swiftfoot Boots and try to keep hold of the treasure just in case. Just to maximise the amount of mana we have available to us, obviously. I could go for the Farseek, but we don't need it, and it's best to keep a card in hand to try and make our opponent worry at least a little bit, but I doubt he cares all that much about what we do here. Did not go for any kind of spot removal in response. Might be another Edict, like we keep saying. Hexproof doesn't really matter against those, so he is going for something. And it is a commit, a target spell or non-land permanent on top of its owner's library, so yeah, we needed our opponents to bother to stick around in this game. But it's a bad matchup for us at this point because our opponent will start to go wide on us and we've only got creatures during our turn for the most part. This is the downside of Bello, is that you have potentially a lot of creatures during your turn, but not a whole lot during your opponent's turns. Ancient Craving is draw 3, lose 3, I think. Yes. And we might as well block some commander damage instead of going down here, so we're pretty much waiting on a board wipe, although we know what we're drawing into next turn, we can't draw into one. So, down to 3, there's nothing we can do here. The Dockside Extortionist does get exiled, so buffs up the rat tokens. Would like to show this game anyway, because, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to play Vren or not, and it's good to show this one off. Oh, we didn't draw into it, did it? Can you put it on the bottom with this? Oh, you put it second from the top, not right on top. Okay, well, Sylvan Library's useless anyway. So play ourselves a Bello. See if they've got counter magic for it. Apparently not. Swiftfoot Boots onto the commander. Yeah, and they had an answer for everything this game. March of Swirling Mists will phase out our creatures. So there was never anything we were going to do here. We weren't set up for a 1v1 against a control deck, so we'll pass the turn and wait to go down to the Relentless Rats. I guarantee one thing, this guy's not going to scoop early on us, and gets us down to -15, so like I said, an interesting enough match for Vren the Relentless. Didn't see that much exile or removal from it, but I do like the idea of this commander, and well, if you want to see gameplay of it, then be sure to let me know. Didn't see too much from the vehicles here, but I think this is a worse variant than what I built previously anyway. It's just that the raccoon with vehicles seems to be something that people are at least somewhat interested in. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to consider donating on Patreon if you appreciate the videos. And a massive thank you to those of you who do that already. I'm Tribalkai. Thank you for watching.